What is going on, my people? DJ's here with another Advanced Wars replay commentary. Today, this is one of the winners of the submission contest for a lower level, lower tier Advanced Wars game. I asked some of y'all for some lower level play. I'm not talking noob level playing, but I'm talking mid level playing. So we can learn from a little bit more, learn from mistakes, see what kind of traps people fall into the mid-level of players, but not just, mech spamming and doing stupid stuff that doesn't make any sense. So we're in the mid-levels right now. This one was submitted to me by Adept999, and it is a matchup of Sammy versus Max on the map Virtuous Solaris, or something thereabouts. I have actually not played on this map before. I've seen a few replays on it myself, but I've never played it. Let's talk about the map real quick right here. It looks like the most notable thing about this map is this airport over here, which actually belongs to the pink player over here and the yellow player over here. Despite its proximity to the bases over here, the whole terrain kind of makes it pretty difficult to actually get to it first, so an infantry will typically beat out the strong side player over here. And it's actually kind of difficult to take back as well, so that usually it stays in the hands of pink and yellow the entirety of the game. Usually you do not see that airport switch hands. However, there is a few little gimmick you can do. You can make a missiles and you can airport lock that airport right there. So I've seen a few people try that out. The thing is, B-copters aren't necessarily that strong on this map, so an airport lock isn't necessarily worth it 100% of the time. In the higher level gameplay I've seen on this map, I have not seen a single person build a missiles. Although there is the option, literally all you have to do is move it one space to the left is pink, and one space to the right is yellow, and then you can start airport locking. So it is a strategy, but then again, it is 12,000 funds lost. If there's a big battle that matters more in the middle, where there's 4 properties at stake rather than one single property in the airport over there, I can understand why people would opt to build 2 artillery, or a tank, a recon, and infantry, any combination of 12,000 funds. But that is one gimmick to be aware about. Mostly just 2 base versus 1 base over here, and then 2 base versus 1 base over here. Nothing too out of the ordinary. With the fight for the scramble for the middle, pretty open terrain. Not many. There's a few mountains, but not a really great artillery map. There's a few lodgings. You can lodge one here as yellow. You can lodge one here as pink, but not really much of an artillery map. More of just a map with tanks. Mechs semi-viable. They can cross the river right here and plop in these mountains right here or in those cities. I wouldn't say it's a bad mech map, but it's not great either. Just, somewhere in the middle right there. So, pretty open map, pretty standard, straightforward map. The only thing is that little airport thing that goes on in the beginning. Now, let's talk about the COs here. I think Max actually has the advantage in this matchup, simply because what I just stated, this is a very open map. There's going to be a lot of tanks. There's going to be a lot of, moving around, shuffling around in the middle. Tanks can get a lot of KOs. You can get one-hit KOs with your tanks in the tower on a CO power. Opposing infantry and breakthrough infantry walls and the like. So I really like Max here. I also would like to see probably like Olaf or Eagle here. Sammy is probably the worst CO I would pick in this instance, just because I typically don't really pick Sammy in tier 2 and unless there's a really 4 bases or something like that. The more bases, the better Sammy is, because she can pump out mechs. But here, she doesn't seem that sound. She doesn't seem terrible, but she's probably the worst of the tier 2 COs in my humble opinion. So we'll see how that plays out. But I do like Sammy when she drops down to tier 3. When it's just, let's say if there's Kindles and Lash and stuff, Sammy's going to have a field day on this map versus those weaker COs. But in tier 2, I'd probably opt first, probably Max, then Eagle, then Olaf, then Sammy. Personally, in my regards. Anyway, let's talk about the players. So Adept999 is the one that submitted this. Both these players are around 1175. So pretty up there. Nearing around 1200, so 1175, I'd say. I think both of them were 1175 thereabouts when they submitted this game. It happened like a month or so ago. So mid-level players. I believe Adept is Chinese. I think LaDfBC is Chinese. I think Taiwan is Chinese, and I think I'm Chinese. No, I don't know anything about these players at all other than they're 1175. Shout out to my Chinese audience, though, by the way, just throwing it out there. Using the VPNs to watch my content from China. Shout outs to my loyal Chinese fan base. Anyway, so these players, don't know much about them. They're mid-level players. They both play pretty frequently. They play a lot of games. So let's get to it, and let's talk about mistakes. Let's talk about things they did right, and let's enjoy this game. All right, let us start. And the game starts off like any other game, building infantry, going for the base. However, I noticed one thing, early mistake by Pink over here, instead of going for a cap over here or a cap over here, going for early comm tower or middle, I guess for this chain over here. Some people like to think they get really aggressive in the opening so they get some nice chains. I understand that makes sense. However, this is your weak side, Pink. There is 2 bases versus 1 base. When you want to be aggressive in your capping phase, you want to do it on your strong side so you can be greedy. However, if you're greedy and go for this cap over here, you're going to lose that eventually, and you're going to lose the capper that capped it as well. So is it really worth capturing this early to hold on to it for 2 or 3 turns? No, it is not. So when you are on your weak side, go for the easy caps first. You can be aggressive on your strong side. Maybe instead of going for this one over here, you go for the middle and go for this cap earlier or something like that. But on your weak side, just don't do that. So just an early mistake. Already noticing Adept does a better job at that, recognizing that, hey, it's an easy cap over here. Might as well take it. Get an earlier tank, an earlier artillery, etc. These sorts of caps, you know, they really pile up. If you don't get an early cap, you lose 1,000 for 1 turn, 1,000 for 2 turns. You know, it adds up. And that might make a difference between building a recon and building a tank. So these sort of like base skips or, capture skips can really come and bite you in the ass if you're not careful. But nothing too unusual right here. See, red does, I guess it doesn't make quite much of a difference yet. But pretty typical stuff. I don't like this early artillery by Adept. I mean, I like artillery in general and understand as Sammy you don't want to be using tanks and whatnot because they're 10% weaker. However, this is a very open map over here. And where is this artillery really going to plop? I guess you can plop here on the defensive, but remember, you're on the offensive over here. So I don't really agree with an artillery here. Maybe over here, you can plop it over there in a tactical location to prevent some caps or prevent them recapturing something you captured. However, in this instance, I don't really like an artillery this early in the game. I don't think artillery is bad by any means, but this early just seems a little off, especially on this way open map like this. But I understand the tendency. And plus, see, if you had a tank over here, you could bring it over here, let him cap that, and then kill off his infantry with a combination of this infantry here and the tank a turn later, and really punish him for making that kind of ballsy play to go get that property earlier. So, don't agree with their artillery. If your opponent's getting hyper aggressive and greedy with their caps, you want to punish them. You want to build tanks, you want to build recons, etc. You want to really rub it in their face like, hey man, why are you taking my strong side properties and smack them in the freaking face? I don't know why I got like crazy there, but I did. Anyway, it personally hurts me to see people give up their strong side. That's why. So I guess just wants to secure this property over here, although you are Sammy Adept, so you don't need to even worry about that. Building an early mech, another thing I don't agree with. I mean, mechs are fine if you're Sammy, but like this early, like I feel like it just isn't worth it. And had the extra funds, and you're 2,000 funds, would have had 5,000 funds, and next turn you would have gotten 8,000 more, and you could have built a combination of like a tank, a recon, etc. or something, rather than being forced into less funds from that mech. I mean, you think you get more bang for your buck with the mechs, but the thing is they still sap 2,000 more than an infantry would, and that 2,000 may make the difference between building like a nice unit, like a tank, and then like a recon. So, although Pinky over here, I don't even know what the name even means. Pinky over here getting offensive, going straight into artillery range with this, I don't quite understand that. I guess, I mean, wants to really hit that artillery, but I mean, this is a strong side of yellow. It could build a tank, even if the tank is weaker. Just interesting maneuver here. And I guess yellow can just shift this artillery over here and get it out of range. I mean, the pink tank can't reach it over here if it goes right behind the infantry. So going for the mech chain really early. Also another thing I don't agree with. Also, this does, I mean, you get the mech chain overlap, but like why even let the artillery be hit in the first place? Why not just get behind over here? Like it doesn't really do anything more here on the front lines than it would right there. But see, yellow is already on the defensive by virtue of building mechs and artillery. You can be forgiven for being on the defensive for, you know, when you give up going from a tank to an artillery, you really give up some offensive pressure. Unless you're like rushing the artillery to the front line or something. But like in this instance, you're really giving up map control. You're allowing Pink to dominate the middle and set the tone for the game. And that's what Pink's attempting to do. But at least has some defensive maneuvers in place to, you know, deal with this threat. But another artillery, see, this is like really low pressure by Sammy right here. And I understand the temptation. Sammy, like, oh, I don't want to build tanks. And you want to like play the long game, get more properties, build artillery walls, build a lot of mechs, and hope you can like survive for a long game, which you'll win in the end. However, I don't quite agree with that on this map. It's too open for that sort of stuff. I don't think artillery walls and stuff are quite as effective. Max just gets a free kill over here. There's no retaliation. There's no tanks to attack anything over here. He's bound to this small little area, this little line right here. Yellow is bound there. Everything else is free reign. Max is now putting pressure on these guys over here. He's putting pressure in the middle. Tanks do a great job of putting it on like simultaneous pressure on a lot of aspects of the map, a good amount of chunk of area of the map. Look at this control for this tank right here. This single tank right here, just a single tank doing that much damage. And this one's going to join in the fray too, and this artillery is just kind of clumped over there. But like I said earlier, at least Adept's getting that airport. It looks like Pink's going to get that airport over there. I mean, that would be kind of suicidal for this little infantry to try to stop the airport cap over there, so... Nothing too unusual, just, I don't like the wimpy opening of going full artillery. Artillery kind of things you build in later, you throw it in later. I don't really like it that early on in the game unless it's a really choky map like Celeste, or where there's a lot of mountains and whatnot. This early in the game, in a wide open map, it just gives up a lot of power. It just gives up a lot of tempo. It just allows your opponent to dictate. And I don't like dictating. Sometimes you can win a game by letting your opponent dictate, and then they make a lot of mistakes, and then they lose and hand it to you. However, in the higher levels, if you let your opponent dictate, they're a lot stronger, and they're going to take advantage of the dictation and not screw up and not, you know, give it up. And they're going to just have command of the whole game, and they're never going to give up command of that game. So, lower levels is fine. You know, just play until your opponent makes some dumb mistake and bum rushes into you. In the higher levels, they're not going to be making mistakes, and you need to dictate. So that's kind of, you need to be in the driver's seat. Now look, Pink is just taking full advantage over here. Finally builds a tank, but it's a little late over here. And this artillery is in an awkward position. Like, where is it going to go over here? I guess it could, like, I don't even know. We'll have to find out. But so far, I'd say Pink definitely has the lead so far. But now it's Adept's turn. Let's see if he can make something come of this. Still very defensive. Interrupts the cap over there, putting his tank in range. I'm assuming that's going to have an artillery follow-up behind it to guard. Looks pretty sound. Yeah, pretty decent, solid defense right there. Not bad. The artillery, see, like I said earlier, the artillery is good in certain spots. This one over here, didn't have to build it over here and make it suck a long-ass journey over there and not doing jack shit. Could have just built it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, just one turn, and it's pretty much near that in the forest over there. Like, did you need to really build it over there? Builds an early copter, puts pressure, but the thing is you can immediately just build an anti-air here and it shuts down everything. So, copters are pretty decent on this map, but not great. So, like I just said, like, Pink taking over the center over here. Can't really transition Yellow can right now. Being very passive with these tanks, though. I don't really like this by Pink. I think he should shift all his stuff to the middle right now. It's clear that he's not going to have a breakthrough over here. It's way too close to the base. He should be shifting these units to the middle right here, making sure that Yellow never gets this property right here, and making sure that he does get this property over here. Just amassing forces into the middle, kind of like a death ball. You want to make sure those tanks are actively doing something. Right now, they're just, like, acting as a wall, but, like, it's not like Yellow's going to go over here anyway, you know what I mean? So they're kind of idle tanks. Good idea to retreat over here. Some people get greedy and they just, like, want to go all in, like, man, I need this property so bad. And you don't really need it that bad. So, nothing too crazy. Not in range. Okay, free copter kill. Can't complain. You can't even surround it either because there's specific here is a C tile, so you can't surround it. So there's no thought of being trapped. And now Yellow's getting in the middle. Imagine if there's two max tanks right here in the middle, and you just break through that infantry right there. One shot gets a hit off on this artillery, another shot gets on the tank. This tank over here, actually they would free up another shot on this mech over here. Imagine 3 shots right there. That's pretty much a good game. Like, in this artillery over there, it's not going to do jack shit. So he's kind of allowing Yellow to proliferate and build all these mechs and build all these artillery by just parking his tanks over there. Like, you don't want to just park your tank in the parking lot, man. Like, don't stick it in the garage. It's got to be, you know, you got to get some miles on that shit. It's going to rust over. So, let's see. I still like Pink comparatively to Yellow at this point in the game, even though, oh, I don't like that join. I don't like these joins. Like, you want to save them and keep unit count and heal them up. That's another kind of beginner mistake, or maybe even mid-tier mistake. Also, just end your turn. What are you doing pressing end with your units and stuff? It's so OCD crap. I can't deal with that. And it's still parked over here. What the hell? Like, they lose their keys or some shit? Like, come on. Going for the missiles because there's no threat. Pink is just parking his tanks, so I understand why yellow would go for the missiles right here, because he's got plenty of time, plenty of artillery, plenty of mechs. Got a really nice defensive front right here. If Pink was pressuring right here, he would have no time. He'd need to be building tanks and building mechs and whatnot. Allowing this lull in the fighting, which Max should never allow, Max should always be on the offensive, is just very strange. You don't really see this in higher level play. You want to be constantly pressing, at least pushing your advantage in the middle. Pushing this advantage that you control the middle, not just sitting there, not doing anything about it. You want to be front switching, you want to be attacking things, you want to be getting more caps than your opponent, but just kind of being very passive as Max. You don't want to be passive as Max. You don't want to be passive in general, unless you're like Eagle or something of the like, and you don't care until you get your superpower, but like... And I like this copter shift over here. Like, he sees the anti-air, yeah, let's get it out of the anti-air range, maybe bring it over here. You know, not a bad idea. So... Pink, man. Pink LaDfBC. Shia LaDfBC. Like, what are you doing, bruh? I bet those tanks are just... Oh, yeah. Move one space up. Like, just out of artillery range. What are they accomplishing? Is this, like, some, like, wall? Like, what... Do these infantry even try to get over here anyway? Like, there's no point. So, it's now it's just wall wars. And, we have even income. Pink never took advantage of the control in the center. If it was a higher level player, I would assume that Pink would have at least control of one, probably two of these properties by this point, by virtue of, you know, yellow giving them up via all the mechs and all the artillery in a higher level play. You'd really capitalize on this, but Pink is kind of just playing chicken. Who's gonna mess up first? Who's gonna really screw up the game first? And he's betting that Pink will screw it up, and he's just gonna wait and see what happens. But you know what happens in the lower levels. It happens in chess as well. I always give chess examples. Like, in lower level chess, it's just who makes the biggest mistake first. It's not who's better. So, I don't... Okay, so there's a little hole over here. But that... Okay, this other anti-air better get in coverage, though. You need to have coverage of this tank if it's going to go on a suicide mission over here. Luckily, this mech doesn't reach. That artillery doesn't cover. It'll only be attacked by a copter and a tank, and I do not believe that's a 2-hit KO because it's Sammy, so it'll probably live with 1 HP unless there's another infantry to do a follow-up attack and kill it. So, not a bad engagement. I don't like this infantry engagement out here is bad, though. It's going to get one-shotted by this infantry or an artillery or a tank or anything. So kind of just a weird maneuver over here. But, you know, whatevs. Yep, one shot. Built to stealth. So I typically go against stealths for a few reasons. Stealths are really weak. They're really expensive and they're really weak. Like, they do half the damage of a bomber. Maybe not half, but not very much at all. And they cost a lot of fuel, and you need an APC to go with them because they'll die before they actually pay for themselves in value. You need to keep re-upping their fuel and whatnot because they're just not that good at conserving fuel when they're hidden. It's 5 a turn, and then you got to move a few spaces every time. They're vulnerable to being trapped. You're surrounded by 4 infantry, and then you build a fighter, and it's dead. However, since there is airport lock over here, I understand the appeal behind going for a stealth, but it's still not worth it, I don't think. I still think you should be building like a Neo tank or some shit like that, or a bomber might be nice too. I understand the appeal, but I don't know. I'm just not a stealth person. I understand the appeal. See, it doesn't quite kill it, even with Sammy's infantry trying to finish it off. Overall, no one really made that much progress over here. I mean, it weakened an artillery to 2 and weakened his tank to 1, and not pretty equal engagement, although this tank is trapped and will die. There is no hope for it. Unless he busts out with his anti-air killing some infantry. But he will be able to get a kill off on one of this copter, though, so that's pretty nice for Pink, at least. One shot. And yeah, so this is turning out pretty decent for Pink now. The first turn wasn't looking so promising, but this is looking good. And now that Yellow had the base skip by the stealth, that's another thing about stealth. They cost a lot. You're going to have to base skip. You're going to have to make infantry for your turn or so. He had to invest, oh man, 24,000, 12,000, 36,000 buckaroonies just to build this whole conglomerate of missile, airport lock, and the stealth. That's 36,000 buckaroonies. That's a lot of money just to do a little bit of damage. And pops the mid-turn max force. Okay. Not terrible. I don't hate it. I like this pressure by Pink. Very smart. Nice. I like that as well. These ones, see, like I was saying earlier, the one-shot KOs. afforded by max tanks onto infantry with planes within comp tower. It's very nice for wall breaking. This is why this map is more of a max map. Like I said at the very beginning, it's all about brawls. And I like that taking advantage of seeing the stealth over here, that's a lot of money. This missile over here, that's a lot of money. Really going for the throw right now. I think Pink is definitely playing better now. Kind of had a good start, weird just sitting there for a bit, and now kind of actually like making it work. So I like Pink's play right here. I tell a lot of people I play, and I'm like, 1100s are not 1100 players. There are people that play like 1300 and 1400 players half the time. There are people that play like 800 players half the time. It's like there's a lot of variance. You don't always play like at a mid-level. You have your really highs and your really lows. And right now, Pink is playing pretty high. Had a pretty low point before, just kind of riding the wave. It's kind of at the crest or the trough. I don't remember what these phrases are. I think he's at the crest right now. Let's hopefully, for him, he doesn't go to the trough. So now it's Adept's turn. Let's see how he adapts to this. So at this point of the game, I think Yellow's long-term goal is to store up Victory March and to Airport Lock at this point. So I don't think he would be using his power right now. I hope he doesn't. Does not use it so far, so pretty good job. Stealth the stealth over here. It's invisible. Does use double time. Man, you need to have like a win con here. Like, I don't understand what the win con is. You don't want to just... We'll see. Let's see how much damage it does. Maybe I'll bite my tongue afterward and see if this actually works out. Get some pretty good hits, not gonna lie. With the mechs, you know, I mean, he could attack this mech over here with normal without even using a double time, but oh my god, look at this mech spam. 3 base mechs, my goodness. Okay. Not a terrible double time, but I don't really think it accomplished something he couldn't have accomplished without using it, you know what I mean? Like, maybe a few more hit KOs and you got like 1 or 2 more damage on a few things, but like you could have attacked this tank with that mech instead. This mech over here, like, I don't know. I don't think it was worth it. And now these mechs are going to die and stuff anyway. Now Pink is basically locked down this portion over here. Now you have to suicide a mech to stop even that cap, or this infantry over there, you got to suicide it in. So that's not looking pretty on the right side. That's the strong side of Yellow, by the way. That's how bad it has become in terms of being submissive, in terms of being defensive. Yeah, Pink is knocking on Yellow's door right here. And that's overextending in most instances. But in this point, since there's 2 mechs instead of 2 tanks, I don't think that's overextending at this point. Probably need to back off eventually, but I don't like all these joint caps as well. You just need to retreat. You're not going to get this cap off. Like, look at all these units over here. Like, I don't like joining. I like going for kills, rather, or in healing my own units. But, alas. Good, heal this. Don't join that with the other one thing. It seems to be like to joining infantry. Because of that, should be ahead like 27 to 21 on unit count, but instead is a little bit farther behind. Or a little, not farther behind, but what the... Double artillery, I mean, anti-air, there's... Okay, I get it. Because they one-shot infantry, but they're not worth the extra 1,000. Just build a tank, get your power, and they're just as good as an artillery is right now. Like, I mean, anti-air is right now. Like, I don't think it's really worth that. Build some recons, man. If you really think this is all about infantry, build 2 tanks and a recon instead of 2 artillery and an infantry. It just doesn't make too much sense to me. But, alas, the stealth... Look at there. Paying for itself right there. Getting a shot on 1 HP infantry. That's 100 funds and damage done for $36,000 of investment. That missile over there and that stealth over there, 36,000, and just killed a 1 HP infantry. Whew. Man. Love that stealth. I'm a stealth hater. I'll say it again. Stealth are dumb. There's only a few times I'd ever use them. And I have a game I might showcase later on where I was facing a stealth user. And yeah, maybe I'll show that. And also, forced to move the missile away. I think you can keep it right here. I don't think there's a 2-hit... I mean, it might get hit by, like... if he stops his cap here and kills that, and... Yeah, I guess could one-shot the mech with the anti-air, but still, like, that just gives up... The whole point in the missiles was to airport lock, and you just gave that up. If anything, I probably would have let it die, and then had a whole bunch of mechs and a bunch of charge and just bum rushed the tank or whatever attacked it. But yeah, now he can build a copter with, you know, without any worries in the world. What that? These anti-air spams, man. I love anti-air. Like I said before, they're my favorite unit, despite the fact that I mix them up with artillery half the time when I'm recording. I love anti-air, but in this instance, there's just too many, man. Like, why? But this is getting brutal in terms of unit count over here. It's starting to look pretty damn bad for yellow. Had to build all that crap with all the money. Just a big investment. But doing double time now, like, if you're going to pop it anyway, we should have kept the missiles over here and let it die or whatever, and then you have a whole bunch of mechs to punish. Okay, so now the stealth is getting some damage done, but you're going to have to build an APC soon. The stealth only has 26 fuel. It started off with 60. It's less than half right now. Builds a medium tank. Alright. Pink actually was able to get this property, which I have not seen in any game on this map before. That's just showing how much ground Adept has given up by building the artillery and the mech spam. More mechs to come. This is a real mech spam right here. I mean, suiciding these anti-airs, suiciding, I don't really agree with that. Late max force too. What is this going to accomplish? You need to have an idea what your plan is. Okay, I guess the max force was to get this copter over here into missile range while still doing some damage. Maybe that was the original goal of the max force, but I would have held on to it for like a stronger battle where it would have made more of a difference. Like these anti-air are going to one-shot the infantry anyway. These tanks are going to one-shot, or not one-shot, but, you know, do a good amount of damage. So, but yeah, Pink is definitely a hit on income. It hit 18,000 to 15,000. A hit on unit count, 19 to 13. That's right. Yellow only has 13 units, and 2 of those 13 are 2 HP infantry. So really low unit count right here. It's gonna take a miracle for Yellow to come back. It's gonna really have to depend on that stealth, I think. And let's hopefully, yeah, still mech spamming, not giving up on the mech spam. Builds the APC for the stealth because you got to do it, even though it's 1/3 of his income right now. 5,000 for that APC. He only has 15,000 income. He's spending 1/3 of that just to keep his stealth alive. So remember when I said stealth 24,000, missiles 12,000, stealth 5,000. Now we have crossed the $40,000 threshold of how much money this damn thing costs. All 3 of these units, they're all bunched up right here. 40,000 in funds, 41,000 in funds to be precise. Yeah, how much damage has it done? Attacked a tank, probably did like $3,000 in damage max. Attacked a 1 HP infantry and attacked this copter, didn't even one-shot it. So, and now this APC is just sitting there getting attacked on the base. Like, this is not looking pretty. And these anti-air, despite being a terrible choice in unit selection, in my opinion, my humble opinion, seeing as there is not a single air unit other than a stealth, LaDfBW should definitely save up for a fighter at this point. I think he should have not built this and should have built, I don't know, a tank or something, so he make sure to cross the $2,000 threshold next turn. I guess he's still going to cross the threshold anyway. He saved up 5K, so he probably crossed the threshold even after these repairs anyway, but, you know, just to double check. But you need to build a fighter this turn, yeah, before that thing gets back on there and starts locking you again. So, good timing. Now, got an infantry bum rush over here. 2 infantry versus God knows how many, 5 or 6, I don't even bother counting. Now, good idea, retreat. You just can't win, although I would have retreated that tank even farther. This should have retreated instead of attacking. That's now 100% dead. Like, those 2 units are just dead, so I don't see the appeal in overextending that far. Medium tank gets a free hit off, since there's nothing in this area whatsoever to do any damage. Stealth is just roaming free. Now he's back. The airport lock has resumed. So this fighter is going to be the last of its kind. It needs to kill that stealth. The thing is, though, stealths are so damn weak. If Sammy gets a first strike off on that max fighter, the fighter is still going to win 100% of the time, even with the first strike hitting it. So, yeah, stealths suck. Just saying. Now, you could trap this shit. Probably put like a copter here, infantry here, anti-air on top there. Not too hard to trap, but doesn't really see it right there. I mean, I guess that tank could kill something, but you could at least attempt to trap, you know. Why not? But let's see if that's how well that stealth does. Now it's retreating. It can't even do anything. It's so scared of the fighter. Man, I'm just gonna rag on stealth this whole game. Like, stupid, dumb, stealthy wealthies. Like, they're just not. Even if you're wealthy, Don't build it stealthy. That's how I'm gonna put it. That was probably the dumbest catchphrase I could possibly come up with, but it just came to me in a moment. So yeah, but the good thing is the fighter doesn't know where the stealth is. So the stealth, you know, you can go on one side of the map, your opponent thinks it's on the other side over there. So he's not doing a bad job of like hiding where it is, but it's not doing anything all the same. Needs to build some big beefy units. Could have built a medium tank over here, and so that base is a little closer, but you know, it doesn't really matter in the end. Seems like the fighting has transitioned over here because nothing is going on over there other than like the base lock. Still haven't even captured that property over there. Maintaining a 4,000 income advantage this entire time. Really starting to show on unit value count. Although, I'm not sure if the stealth is calculated into the total funds. Sometimes it is not calculated, so you might have actually 24,000 more than you think. But I think it is actually calculated in this replay player. So, seems like Pink is going even Stevens. Not really front switching, just kind of doing this thing in the middle where he just parks his shit in one area and it's like, come to me, man, I don't give a shit. Like, you need to like go all in one area and then like, you know, push. Like, I would put all my shit right here, get a max power, and just obliterate all this shit, and then you block this base over here. The stealth can do whatever you want. Airport lock, I don't care. What are these units going to do? It's going to take like 10 turns for these shit to even get over here. Like, you want to push all this shit, eliminate, annihilate all these units with your strong, superior max units. Use the power, use the superpower. I don't care. Leave the fighter over here so when that stealth does reappear, or just the fighter in the middle, when it does reappear, you'll just one-shot it, especially with the power. So, but he's kind of just in the middle, can't make up his mind. You know, sort of feel like going to the left, but I could also go to the right too. No, you can't be indecisive. You need to go for the throat. You have an income lead, you have a unit lead, your max. Normally I'd say just chill, but your max. You don't want to allow Sammy to get her victory march and suddenly have a comeback. You want to actually push with your advantage. This is not the situation where you're Olaf or your Eagle or your Hawk, whatever. This is a situation where you want to actually do shit. And now this means think, oh, I went over here, dab a little over here, dab a little over there. We're not dabblers over here. Where this is advanced wars. This is a war. I don't know why this fighter probably should move a little bit over here. Like I said, the first strike, it doesn't matter. That stealth is going to die to the fighter. So it doesn't matter if that fighter is in stealth range. That's how ballsy that fighter can be. So, yeah, be ballsy with the fighter, man. See, if you had this medium tank over here, 2 medium tanks, you dislodge that, one-shot it, or double shot it, kill the infantry in one shot, and then kill the artillery. Especially with the power, you just obliterate everything. This medium tank should have been here yesterday, like. But Pink is allowing Yellow to come back. He's parking his units and just chilling. Pink needs to like, what are these things doing? Like I said earlier, like the center is great. You can shift and stuff, but like if you're just sitting there, you're not doing anything, and that's not really what I mean when you take control of the center. You need you soft power control the center. You don't just sit there. Okay, so using the power, let's see if you can actually do something from this. Like I said, if that medium tank was over here, this whole thing would be obliterated. I don't care how many artillery there are. This whole thing would be obliterated by a max force or a max blast. So you can't even, like, okay, got through eventually, but it's not. There's no like follow-up attacks. Like, you can't reach the artillery. The artillery is going to get hit. Or it's going to get hit off on his medium tank. So I don't really like that part. Double time again. So many powers. Like, I feel like both of them kind of just, you know, trigger happy. You know, it's like, I can get an extra $2,000 worth of damage. You're like, you got to think in the long term here. Like, this is a long game. We're at day 23. You're not going to win from one good turn right here. You need a combination of 3 good turns to really push the tide. Right now, it's just push here, push back, push here, push. How about you just like take a little bit and then boom, boom, boom. Like, don't just like, you know what I mean? Like, have a very coherent strategy when you're going to use these powers. Save your power till both medium tanks are here. Maybe that's your goal. I will save my power till both medium tanks are here so I can destroy everything. Or maybe I'm Sammy. I will save my power until I see that I can capture this comm tower and have 2 comm towers. And capture this property. And I have 5 properties that I could capture. I won't use it until I capture 5 properties. Like, you need to have a goal from your powers. Especially with Sammy and Max. Like, Eagle and Olaf, I mean, Olaf especially, just, I don't freaking know. Just use your power whenever you get it. Like, that's the simplicity behind Eagle and Olaf. Or Olaf, rather. Olaf and Drake, not Eagle. Eagle's more complex. But still putting all these artillery. I mean, it's working because Pink is not taking advantage of, you know, using all these units together. Very dispersed, very... And now... Don't look now, but Yellow is ahead in unit value counts. Ahead in units, but still behind in terms of income. So Yellow is making quite a bit comeback right here. And if he had a victory march ready and started capturing a bunch of units, properties, he would be ahead in all counts. So this is sort of where it's like, man, why didn't you just save your super, bruh? Now starting to shift all those units to the middle, where they can't do jack shit. I mean, I guess preparing to do a little, like, force over here, but doesn't have any powers ready since he wasted them all already. I sound like a bitter old man when I go over, like, old replays from, like, middle-level players. It's like, yeah, why didn't you do that back in my days? It's like, I don't mean to be a Scrooge, but, you know, you gotta be tough love. Some bad decisions right here, you know? I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. But like I said, both these players have had some pretty damn good turns, but some pretty bad turns as well, like I said. Some 13 level turns, some 800 level turns right here. And right now Pink is on his 1800 on his 800 level. He needs to, and like, suiciding this tank to stop the cap, that's just not smart. That's just dumb. Unless he shifts all his units up here, but it's not, he can't. So that's just a suicided tank. That's a free 7,000 units. He's gonna capture that property. It's really overextended, so. Another bad decision. Look at all these anti-air. Like, what? And like, what? What? I don't understand. And now that's... So that's stealth. Might as well just attack that tank right now. And then you let it die to the fighter, and then you shoot it down with the missiles. So you lose 24k, but you also do 4k in damages, and then you kill 2,000 right there. And that's like the best you hope for. You break even, basically. Maybe slightly better than even all of these turns, but you lost a lot. Even if you break even in terms of damage done, or a little better, you still lost a lot of tempo, so it doesn't really show the full cost. Because 24,000 earlier on in the game is a lot more than 24,000 currently in the game. He built that stuff so early on that it really hurt him economically early on. So just keep in mind that there's inflation in Advanced Wars. Just like in the real world, there is inflation. Later on in the game, your funds don't matter quite as much because you're going to have more properties than the first 10 turns. So just keep that in mind, that 24,000 at the beginning is a lot more than 24,000 right now. Especially if you're Pink, because you got 19k income rather than 15k by Yellow over there. So, nothing too crazy. Building medium tank over here on the... What do you... the death ball, but why? Why not just build another one over here? Then you have 4. You can blast, use the max power, blast the tank one-shot, blast the artillery one-shot, blast the artillery one-shot. When you use a max power, you're going to one-shot a lot of those artillery with the medium tanks, and they're just going to have a field day, and it's going to be really ugly. So I don't understand why he didn't build a max. And this OCD shit, though, it's going to be the end of me, I swear. Just push end turn, I understand, like... Free tank kills over here. At least Yellow is taking advantage of that. Builds another APC. The costs for this damn stealth are unending. It's just a constant... It's just like a sunk... It's like buying a damn boat. You buy it and you think, oh yeah, I got a boat. And then all your friends are on it and stuff. And then you have to pay freaking $10,000 over every year. And it just sucks the life out of your soul. Yeah. That's what the stealth is. It's the boat of Advanced Wars by just Advanced Wars. You don't want to buy a boat. Let your friend buy a boat, you know what I'm saying? Ooh, yeah, just stealthy, wealthy. And now it looks like, look who's got the airport lock, and look who can't really punish that anyway. Like, did you really need to build the missiles? Like you can airport lock the old-fashioned way with an anti-air. So both airports are locked. Pretty cool. But Pink, trigger shy as always. So let's see who has the balls to actually do something first. I mean, he has the income lead, so I guess he can afford to like chill. Has the power ready in his pocket. At this point, I guess I'd probably, I don't know. He's let him build up too many artillery now that it's not even doesn't make sense to even go in yet. So he needs to probably have a super to really get in there and really dominate. So It's just the proliferation of units at this point. It's just got to slowly push up as yellow or pink at this point. Your days of just bum rushing and winning are over. There was a window for it, and he did not take advantage of that. And now it's gotta have to wait till he has a super or some shit. So he can encroach a little bit now, as he should. Let's see how much he encroaches. This stuff over here is just dumb. Like, what are you doing? Like, why don't you just capture that? Why don't you just capture that? Let him suicide infantry get a free shot. Put some pressure on those properties. Okay, now threatening to capture the airport. That's good. At least there's some end goal here. Dude, you can just move up your medium tank. What is he going to do with that medium tank? He attacks the first strike. It's still not getting a good exchange with your medium tank. Put your medium tank in range of his. Don't be afraid. You have max medium tanks versus Sammy medium tanks. Like, I feel like Pink is just Pink was probably beaten by, like, Go 7 or, like, Tordred or some shit, or of standard players, I don't know, like Starflash or Toulouse early on in his life, and has these bad memories, and it's just... every time he sees, like, a conflict, oh, not again, no! It's like, but this time you're ahead. Like, you're fine. You're not playing these really high level players. You're in the mid level now. Like, you can do it. I believe in you. Like, you know, I had some early rough days or some shit, some abuse. I mean, I've been abused by some of the strong players. I remember playing Everdan and some crap. He was like the best player ever, and he beat me pretty early in standard. So I understand, but at the same time, like, okay, so at least yellow's. Oh god. Oh god, this is gonna be ugly. Can't even one-shot a tank over there. Can't even. Oh god, this is not looking good. Oh god, this is not looking good. This is like going into the belly of the beast. Yellow is gonna get so destroyed this turn. I can already smell it. Oh my god, this is gonna be brutal. Use your power. There you go. Alright, Pink, let's see if you can. All those bad mistakes earlier, let's see if we can make up for it now. Boom. 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 See, whoa, man, this is freaking brutal. Boom. Boom. This is just so... Ooh. Oh, didn't even want to. I think I got lucky there. Oof. Oof. Yeah, that's... Well, look on the bright side, you can get a victory march, you get this one property. There's literally, maybe this one, if you're lucky. Oh my god. Yeah, that's looking like Jeegers. That's looking like Jeegers. That is brutal. Pink didn't even have to slowly encroach. Yellow just came to him. That should be a good game if I think correctly. Alright, what can Yellow do here? I don't think much. I mean, you can get a few shots, but, like, that was dumb. Like, that whole thing, the whole time, like, Pink over here, his whole side over here just didn't make sense. Like, you're just kind of, like, dabbling and whatnot. Don't be a dabbler, man. Be a stabler. That's not even... I say some of the stupidish stuff when the mic turns on. But... is he even going to get a single property from this? No. There's nothing sadder than seeing a victory march not get a single property from it. So that was interesting. There's plenty of mistakes on both sides. I think Yellow had a pretty weak early game. Stronger mid game. I understand the cohesiveness behind the idea of the airport lock, but I felt like it was too early. Too much of an investment hole to put yourself in that early. Let's be honest, one stealth isn't going to change the game, right? Like, if you want to stealth lock or airport lock and win by stealths, you're going to need at least 2-3 stealths to win. One stealth isn't going to do shit, especially a Sammy stealth. Probably hits like a tank, like probably just like 40% to like a medium tank on a road or some crap. Like, it's weak. I mean, it's not like terribly weak, but still, like, so he gave up the early game, had a pretty decent middle game, and at the end he just got impatient and went on the offensive when it was actually Pink that should have gone on the offensive, because this is Yellow's weak side, and Yellow went all out. So I hope you guys learned something. Main takeaways from this are stealth is bad. Don't go on both sides, attack all at once. Like, Pink kind of did that, attacking on this front and attacking on this front. Just make a big ball, and he could have won like 15 turns earlier. Pink was pretty much ahead the whole game, I would like to say. If you just made a big ball, 2 medium tanks or whatever, like I said earlier, just push. This game could have been over 10 days, 15 days ago. Yeah, like I said earlier, artillery, you give up spacing, you give up map control when you get them. So think carefully before you build an artillery. Just because you have 6k funds available doesn't mean you should build an artillery. Maybe if you spend 1k this turn, and the next turn you can build 2 tanks instead of artillery, it makes more sense than building in 1 artillery this turn and then 1 tank next turn. You know what I mean? Like, just because you don't build a vehicle that turn doesn't mean it's lost. You can build more later. So just think about that before you build an artillery, especially on a map like this. A few other maps, it makes a lot more sense. I agree. Artillery are good. They're a core component of Advanced Wars gameplay, but in this instance, I think artillery are just not as great. I understand the appeal of Sammy, though, since they're not as weak as her other units. But, yeah, artillery just really give up a lot of ground. I don't like building them early on in the game unless it's super choky. And they really gave up a lot of ground. Like, Pink just took over the center. Even though Pink didn't know what to do with it, still took over the center. It's like, I don't know, I have it, but I still have it. So I just need to be aware of that. And then the mech spam, it just doesn't work in most situations. Like, Pink allowed him to proliferate enough artillery and mechs, but in most situations he would have been dead by like turn 12 or something. If you're playing, say, LJVD, a Star Flash, Dead FS, or something of that sort, you're going to be blown out of the water for building that many mechs and artillery early on. You're going to be paying the heavy toll. Anyway, thank you for submitting this Adept999. I appreciate your submission. Hope you learned from this video. Hope all of you learned from this video. And you know what to do. You can look at a map and say, okay, this is pretty open right here. Probably not a great idea to build artillery. So just think about that. Something to ruminate about. And don't be afraid to push. I know, like I said earlier, sometimes when you're ahead, you don't really want to push. You're like, I'm winning, like maybe like troops, like we can, let me slowly win. Like, no, sometimes you gotta be a bad boy or a bad girl. Sometimes you just gotta go in and smash them and have no regrets. This is war. You go in, you smash them. That's how it goes. Might not be pretty for them, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. So, anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. Standard streak is at 4. By the way, Fog guys, you were quiet in the last chat. That's why I'm doing another standard streak at 4. If you want Fog, you're gonna have to say so in the chat, alright? You guys have been silent. You guys have been really silent. That's why I'm doing the standard streak. Standard people have been showing up. They've been kicking your ass in the chat, so you better raise your voice if you want some Fog games. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys next time in another episode. Bye.